The evening was winding down at the Vineyard Grill, the soft hum of chatter in the background muffled by the clink of glasses. On the other side of the restaurant, Kate Matthews wiped down the bar and watched the last few customers settle into their after-dinner drinks. She had already shifted into autopilot mode. The routine of clearing glasses, folding napkins, and checking in on her regulars was second nature. But tonight, something felt different. Where are you watching from today? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories like this. It was midnight when the door opened with the familiar chime, signaling the arrival of a new customer. He was alone, and though his suit was well-tailored and his demeanor cool, Kate could tell there was something off about him. He glanced around the room, searching for a place to sit, and when their eyes met, he quickly looked away. She noticed how the tension in his shoulders seemed to mirror the exhaustion in her own. It was something Kate had become very familiar with over the years, the weight of a life constantly in motion, of dreams deferred, and of responsibilities that never seemed to let up. He sat down at the bar, ordering a whiskey neat, a drink too strong for someone who was just here for a quiet evening. He reached into his briefcase and began to shuffle through a series of papers, his fingers moving frantically over the documents. Kate approached, offering a polite smile, but she could sense the man's unease, his impatience. "How's the night treating you, sir?" she asked, placing the whiskey in front of him. He didn't even look up, but his voice was sharp when he answered. "I'm fine, just need to finish this presentation," he muttered. Kate nodded, feeling the tension radiate from him, but she said nothing more. She had learned long ago not to push too hard. Some people preferred silence over small talk, and tonight it was obvious that this man needed space. But she couldn't help but feel sorry for him, someone who had reached the pinnacle of success, but who appeared more burdened by it than anything else. Her thoughts were interrupted when she noticed him struggle with his laptop, tapping at the keyboard with increasing frustration. A few minutes passed, and he muttered under his breath, clearly unable to get the system to cooperate. "Is everything okay?" she asked, walking over. His eyes snapped to her, surprised by her sudden presence. "The damn thing won't load," he replied, annoyance evident in his voice. Kate studied him for a moment before instinctively taking the laptop from him. "Mind if I take a look?" The man hesitated for a second, but then nodded. "Go ahead, but I warned you, it's been glitching all day." Kate sat down beside him, quickly spotting the issue. It was a simple error with the software, a missing update. She tapped a few keys, the screen flickering as the system revived, and within seconds, it was up and running again. She handed the laptop back to him with a smile. "Better?" she asked, feeling a small sense of pride in her ability to troubleshoot. The man, who Kate now realized had a name tag that read Thomas Harrison, stared at her, a mix of curiosity and disbelief on his face. "Huh," he murmured. "I didn't expect to meet someone like you here." Kate smiled awkwardly. "What do you mean by that?" He looked uncomfortable for a second before leaning back in his chair. "I just didn't think a waitress would have, well, that kind of knowledge." He gestured vaguely at the laptop. "Most of the staff here seem to know more about serving food than fixing computers." Kate couldn't help but feel the sting of his words, but she let it go. "I get it," she said simply. "Not everyone's got the time or the need to learn about tech. It's just something I picked up along the way." He nodded, but didn't respond, instead focusing on his laptop again. Kate could sense his mind was elsewhere, still tangled in whatever problem had him so distracted, but she'd done her part. As she turned to leave, he suddenly spoke again. "Wait," he said, his voice a bit softer now. Could you help me with one more thing?" She stopped, half-turned, and nodded. "Sure, what's up?" He looked hesitant, almost reluctant to share whatever issue was on his mind. "It's my financial projections," he began, sounding unsure.
I need to present them to some big clients tomorrow, but the numbers are all over the place. I've been working on this for weeks, and now I'm not sure what to think." Kate could tell that his frustration had nothing to do with the laptop and everything to do with the weight of the presentation he was preparing. "Let me take a look," she offered, more out of curiosity than anything else. She didn't expect to be able to help much, but maybe she could ease his stress, if only for a little while. He handed her a folder filled with reports and spreadsheets, and as she glanced over the data, something caught her eye. There were large sums of money earmarked for different causes: charitable donations, orphanages, shelters, but there were also odd discrepancies, numbers that didn't quite add up. Her heart sank as she began to connect the dots. Kate's mind raced. This wasn't just about faulty projections, this was something far worse. As she continued to skim through the files, her eyes widened in horror. The numbers were more than just miscalculations, they were evidence of fraud. Hundreds of thousands of dollars that should have been going to orphanages but were being siphoned off into personal accounts. Accounts that seemed to have connections to Greg Taylor, the man sitting across from her. Kate felt a rush of panic, her breath quickening as she realized what she had just uncovered. She had seen enough in her life to recognize a scam when she saw one, and this was no mistake. This was theft, plain and simple. But what could she do with this information? Should she confront him? No. She needed proof, something more solid than what she'd seen on a laptop screen. "Is everything okay?" Thomas asked, breaking her concentration. His voice was tense, like he could sense the change in the air. Kate quickly closed the laptop and slid it back to him. "Yeah, everything's fine," she said, her voice steady despite the storm brewing inside her. She tried to leave, but Thomas stopped her. "I didn't get a chance to thank you for your help earlier, but there's something I need to discuss with you. It's important." Her stomach twisted. She wasn't sure if it was his sudden shift in demeanor or the weight of what she had just uncovered, but she knew that this conversation wasn't going to end well. Kate nodded, her eyes still on the closed laptop, knowing that she would have to make a decision soon. She couldn't ignore what she had seen, but she also couldn't confront him directly without risking everything. Would she turn a blind eye to the crime she had just uncovered, or would she expose the truth no matter the consequences? As Kate's mind raced, Thomas continued to speak, but she barely heard him. The world had shifted in an instant, and she now had a choice that could change her life forever.